Otherwise, yeah, if you have something to add or just to comment, you can ask me or ask my colleague Sana or anyone. Can just drop words in the chat. So okay, I think Sana, we might start.
Yeah, actually I started a few minutes ago, and now we are live streaming on the AIU NOC Tunisia page.
What page is the same from here? So also live streaming in the YouTube channel of the Tunisian Association of Young Astronomers. You might drop the link, Sana, in the chat. So hi everyone, I'm so happy to see all of you today. We have a lot of followers right now in the YouTube channel and also the Facebook page. They are following the lectures of Scott. So hi everyone, my name is Maïsal Yazidi. I'm the National Outreach Coordinator for Tunisia and the founder of the Tunisian Association of Young Astronomers. So today I'm so happy, I'm so honored to host Scott Roberts from the USA. So I'm gonna just briefly introduce Scott before giving him the floor to present his lectures. So Scott, he is a designer and marketer of amateur astronomer equipment. He is also a supporter of educational outreach in astronomy and space exploration, and also a popularizer of amateur astronomy. Since 1980, he has marketed and sold amateur astronomical equipment, as well as produced astronomy themed events and presentation to a broad audience. Scott also, if I'm not wrong, correct me, Scott, he is also the director of Explore Scientific and Explore Alliance, which they are two astronomical institute or organization that aims to support outreach activity and also share astronomical events online and also in person. So Scott today he's gonna give lectures, and I'm so happy to welcome him today for the first time. In fact, finally we found a common schedule, so we're gonna have a lecture by him today about the power of stargazing. And Scott, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, thank you very much. You can see some of the equipment that we build and market. We build telescopes at Explore Scientific, from actually very small telescopes that you might find that a child might get as a gift, and our largest telescope available today is a 65-inch Dobsonian, a folded Newtonian Dobsonian mounted computerized telescope. So we cover all the price ranges from almost $1 million, almost all the way down to something that would sell for under $100. One of the things I always keep on my desk is I keep my first telescope. Okay, I got this telescope in 1970. I was 10 years old, and I begged my parents for a telescope because I was so interested in the Apollo program. I watched, live the men step on the moon, and I would hardly believe that I would actually become friends with Buzz Aldrin, who owns one of our telescopes today, and I've been able to spend time with him, but not only with him, but as amazing as someone like Buzz Aldrin is, also equally amazing is the common person on the street, and to watch them have transformative effects. I think that this is, it is so interesting for me to work with telescopes and design telescopes. Right now, I'm designing new software for our telescopes. That is very interesting, but really, the gear is at a very secondary level of what is most important and most interesting about astronomy and telescopes. I think that astronomy has been called a gateway science, and the reason why it is because almost anyone can do it. Really all you have to do to start is tilt your head back up and start to look at the sky and try to make sense of what's going on. And I think that this is an instinct that people have. You know, so you know, the human race has used the stars to tell time and to make their calendars and to align their buildings, and you know, all the fields of science come from the root of trying to make sense of the stars and forming the formalized science of astronomy. And so, you know, we've been on an incredible journey. As you know, if you think of humans as one species of animals, we have come a long way. And by building the tools, particularly with glass, to improve our vision, to sharpen our vision, and then to dissect what we see, we are just in this golden exploration. I think that today, even with all that we have found and all that we have learned, that we're really just touching what I would call the tip of the iceberg. You know, we are in a golden age of astronomy now, with the James Webb Space Telescope successfully launched, with new manned space explorations, with new robotic space explorations. We are learning things at such an incredible rate that there is so, if you did nothing but just think about everything that is happening in exploration that is amazing, fundamentally mind-blowing, you could almost do nothing else during the day. There's just so many things happening. But there's also the personal experience that someone can have right in their own backyard. And there is thankfully a literal army of outreach enthusiasts, outreach professionals that are educating the average person out there about the stars and their place in the universe, because that's what it's all about. It's really about finding out who we are, you know. And so I have tried to express that. I've tried to explain it when I do my, one of the things I like to do, especially if I'm not having a good week or having a bad day, I like to go to a street corner with my telescope so that people can look at the stars. And then I realize, you know, really what it's all about all over again as I watch people see Saturn's rings for the first time in their lives, or the craters on the moon for the first time in their lives. You see this kind of awakening happen, you know. And I know that when they start to ask me questions, usually it starts off with, Scott, I'd like to ask you a stupid question. I know then that they're starting to really explore, okay? Because they're kind of putting themselves out there into an area that they don't know a lot about, but that's where they need to go. They need to allow their mind to, you know, expand, explore, instead of trying to harden up and trying to put everything in its place. Okay, that's what we do all day long in our jobs and our lives, our relationships, all of that, you know. But really, everything's interconnected, and so we also live in a very stressful world. It doesn't take long to watch the news and to hear many, many stressful things happening with wars, conflicts, disease, many, many things, crazy things happening. And, you know, how do you get relief from that? And so I think that the practice of astronomy it's not the only path, but it is a path that really does work. And so I have this program, this PowerPoint presentation, which I'll kind of talk over, called The Power of Stargazing. And so I'll start that now. that going full screen for you guys?
Yeah, it's
Hello?
clear.
Okay, good, good. Okay, so I love this image, this cover image. This is from a an astronomer down in Chile. Her name's Carrie Letelier, and Carrie loves to put. She loves to photograph the Milky Way. Of course, in Chile they have an incredible Milky Way view from the southern hemisphere, and she often puts people in the view and tries to mix this emotion of the connection between humans, their minds, and the cosmos. And so this, I want to give a shout out for Carrie because she's a gifted photographer, and she lets me use her images. When you are involved in astronomy, especially the community of amateur astronomy, you meet many amazing people. Some of them will be your heroes, okay? This is one of my heroes, Kip Thorne. Kip Thorne is, he's one of the Nobel laureates for the LIGO project, and he was a good friend with Stephen Hawking. In fact, I was able to see Stephen Hawking give a lecture in person at Caltech. And the first time I was able to meet both of them was there during that lecture. But I was really surprised because I'm not a physicist. I'm not great at mathematics. I really did not think I would understand anything to do with this lecture that Stephen Hawking gave. But quite the contrary, Stephen Hawking explained the complexities of black holes to a level that anyone, a child, could understand it. And I just thought that was wonderful. And so that's the mark of genius. If you get a chance to meet Kip Thorne, one of the things I find that is a hallmark of really brilliant people like this is they're very humble and modest. And that would certainly be the case of Kip Thorne. I love this quote that we're born with a curiosity about the universe, and those people. Those people who don't have a curiosity don't have it because it's gotten beaten out of them in some way. People let this happen to them. They become the victims of our world, and you don't have to choose that. And so, but sometimes you have to be shown a path, and hopefully this presentation helps set just one path that might get you to choose a better life. Let's see. Let me change slides this way. Physicians say today that stress is the #1 killer. Stress leads to heart disease and cancer and mental illness and depression and this chart here just names just a few things that stress does to you. And if you allow stress to run away, both in your mind and in your body, it will definitely hurt you. And so you need to reframe the view of what's going on, instead of being that always thinking that the world is full of problems and that your life is full of problems. You can reframe those problems to look at them as kind of opportunities to solve things, to overcome things. And, so reframing this is very, very important. And I explain this to, I share this with people who are gifted astronomers, people who do astronomy outreach, not only because I know that they get it. I know that they understand that through stargazing that it can do things to calm the mind and to give you restoration. But it's good to listen to anyone who does astronomy outreach try to explain this, because when we're out with the public and we're trying to give people their first views through a telescope. We want them to have a transformative experience, similar to how, we would like to see space tourists have a transformative experience when they go up in a spacecraft and look back on Earth. So something I keep coming back to is Carl Sagan's pale blue dot. And I love this image of the Earth is just like a 2-pixel wide blue dot in this field. And if this image doesn't reframe your view of what humanity is all about, here there's no borders, there's no there's no immigration laws, there's nothing there except that we can see this dot floating in the vastness of space. And I think that if people were reminded that that they're flying through space at incredible speeds, and they are just one planet out of perhaps trillions in our own galaxy, and our galaxy is maybe one of hundreds of billions or trillions out there as well, and that you can absorb the fact that you're somehow connected, but there's kind of steps that you go through, and one of them is that as you're out looking at the stars, as you start to understand the ages of things and the sizes of things and the distance of things, I will often hear people say, gosh, I feel so small, so insignificant. Okay. And that's they are confronting their own ego when this happens. Okay. Because, they, through their own ego, they think they're so large and important, and, and they put on a persona for everybody else to see, but really, they don't understand how really incredible that they are. They don't understand that their minds are as vast as the universe they can understand. They don't understand that their DNA is, hundreds of millions or billions of years old. Their atoms are billions of years old. And that, the iron in their blood was made from an exploded star, so this understanding of interdependence, how we're connected to it, is very, very important. And I believe it starts, this understanding, where it's not just conceptual, but where you actually really begin to absorb these concepts for real. You need to spend time. You need to spend time stargazing, simply looking up, making sense of the structure of the Milky Way, thinking of, the vastness of the universe. And, your ego loosens when this happens, especially when it's late at night and you're kind of already tired, but, you're still on this high of looking at what's up there in the sky. But, our daily lives, I do it too. We think we're the center of our universe. We're still in a geocentric model, okay? We think that things kind of orbit around us, that problems happen to us, not that we're somehow connected to all of it. These things, of course, this is our part of our nature, the way that we think, Ptolemy of Egypt, formalized these philosophies, and this view, Ptolemy's view of the universe lasted for 1,500 years, and so I don't blame Ptolemy for this, because when I was very small, when I was 3-4 years old, I would look up at the sky, I would see this. This what I thought of was this big blue or black bubble, that we lived inside of. And, I did think that the sun and the stars rotated about us. And so this was a natural thing that even as a young child, this was my thinking of the universe. So, but we come back out of our busy lives, we go to a star party, we get out with our telescopes, and you see astronomers out there happy. Their blood pressures come down. They are having a tranquil night of observation. They are, basking in the glow of the Milky Way. And, scientists have made studies of people who spend time experiencing nature, whether you're going into the forest or if you're a surfer on the waves or you are somehow putting yourself out there like that. It all is much, much better for you. And I have friends who have experienced strokes, heart attacks, these kinds of things, because they have a very stressful life. And through astronomy, they actually got better, they got better. So it is, it's hard to see an amazing view of a galaxy or to see the beauty of Saturn's rings and have lots of anxiety at the same time. So I think it's great for astronomers to begin to understand, or stargazers, to try to understand what is going on in science and our understanding of the sizes of the universe, our galaxy, and to keep these in mind, even in your normal, between our sips of coffee or whatever, that we just stop and we think about, okay, that we are part of the universe. And so it's wonderful that academia is not now an exclusive realm. Even in the 1970s and 1980s, when I started doing astronomy outreach work, especially in the 1980s, I would meet with professional astronomers, and they really did not want us to be part of what they were doing. This took some time, okay? Eventually, places where there are professional observatories and stuff, they were able to work with the community to help reduce light pollution, to support science activities, these kinds of things. And they had to share. And so a lot of the professional world, NASA, every professional observatory, the IAU, for example, has an outreach arm, which they didn't used to have. It's very, very important. You can either get involved, in a formal way or a professional way, or you can just go out and do it yourself. And so, but it is important to have this perspective deepening and to do it as often as you can. I like to show the public the model of our galaxy. And every time, of course, this model improves all the time. Things are changed in this model as it goes along. That's the process of science. But I like to remind people that, that our solar system is not the center of our own galaxy, that we're cruising around it at 792,000 kilometers per hour, and that we are flying through space at 2.1 million kilometers per hour to a new part of space that we've never been to before. We are literally on a beautiful natural spaceship that we can breathe the air, we can survive on, and it's just it's incredible. I mean, it's just an unbelievable, almost miraculous story. So, when I'm doing astronomy outreach, I often, here in the southern part of the United States, they have something called the Bible Belt. And in the Bible Belt, many people are very involved with their church. They have views from religion. Some of these views are quite old, but I will sometimes be confronted because I'll talk about what science now thinks is the, the age of the universe and these kinds of things. And sometimes I'm confronted by people who think that the universe is only a couple of thousand years old. These kinds of things, these would be some of the kind of outdated concepts, that have nothing more than just faith. Now, religion is good in our society. It's great. It saves people from a life of disaster in some cases, and it brings them harmony. But I would say that being updated about what's going on in science can also do similar things. And so one of the things that they have they continue to study is the cycle of creation. I have as you get older in life, you have friends that pass away, and I used to think that passing away was, or when people died, that was kind of the end. Boom, gone. Yeah, that's it. When in fact you're just being, you really, there is no end, because you will, you're part of the universe. You'll go on in the universe, and here you see, the star-forming nebulas, creating massive stars and sun-like stars, and they live their lives, and towards the end of their lives, they are more rich in elements, and it comes back out, with the future generation of stars that are more complex, with probably more complex planets. And so these are, it's important to look at this, but you can see this in your own, on Earth. You see plants that are born, they live their lives, they die, they enrich the ground that they were born in, and it all starts all over again. So let's go back to this. Most astronomers know that the atoms in our body were formed through supernova explosions. Probably, if we could go back even further, from the genesis, the Big Bang genesis of our universe. Maybe there's multiple universes, we don't know. But virtually every element that you can go down the chart of elements. A lot of these elements are in our own bodies, and we can trace that back to stars. Recently, it was in the news that Wolf-Rayet stars are the actual source of fluorine. Okay, the stuff in your teeth and in your bones, and so it was. I think it was remarkable that they were able to actually trace back this element to a specific kind of star. Wolf-Rayet stars are very rare in galaxies, and but we are made of star stuff. This was popularized. This concept was popularized by Carl Sagan, but how miraculous is it that it all comes together in us, and that we have a consciousness, and that we have made tools to expand our minds with. It's just an unbelievable story. Here's another beautiful image from Carrie Letelier of someone, seated, looking up at the Milky Way. This is a beautiful shot. This is the Milky Way from Chile. You can see the Large Magellanic Cloud off to the right. And it is, for me, when I'm out under the Milky Way and I let everything calm down, I get this kind of sacred feeling. You probably feel it too, right? I mean, it's hard not to. You see this arch above you, and all of your problems seem to shrink to the point where they disappear. because that's the point, which I think is one of the most important aspects of the science of astronomy, of the practice of astronomy, the practice for stargazers. I think that getting to this point of being tranquil, calming down, contemplating your connection, your interconnection with the whole universe, I think is really, really special. And it is a way to increase mental health, physical health. You get recharged from it, and I think you're generally a happier person for doing so. Something I've been thinking about recently, in fact, just the last few days, my sister, who actually suffers from anxiety problems. She has to take medicine from it, but she wants to stop taking medicine for her anxiety situation. I don't know how many people in the United States or in the world are taking antidepressant drugs or anti-anxiety drugs, but it's because they're caught in this runaway. They can't get out of the loop of worrying about something, the hole in the ozone layer, war in Ukraine, the pandemic, their bills, something their wife or husband said, these problems, as terrible as they are almost nothing compared to what is happening, of the power of the miracle of being conscious and alive and understanding, your connection to the universe itself. So I thought about it. My sister started talking about meditation as a way to, to relieve her anxiety. And I realized that the times that I spend at the eyepiece, especially if I take a long time looking at something like the Virgo cluster or something that's very faint, hard to see, and finally you do see it, you're not staring right at it, you're not trying, you just relax, and then poof, that galaxy pops in the field of view, and you are kind of going into a meditative state because you are making yourself more quiet, you're breathing steady, you are focused. You're not thinking about something unpleasant. It's hard. It would be hard for you to do so, So I think that there's a kind of a natural, this is a natural, easy gateway towards getting into a meditative state. And, and that does calm your mind down, and it does make you feel more tranquil. So I recommend doing it every night if you can. I know a few astronauts, not many, but some, and they all talk about this effect that they had, especially the Apollo astronauts, when they saw Earth rise over the moon. And, it changed their lives. It really did. Here they are doing something incredibly technical, incredibly complex, training, thousands of hours, to the point of where they just have muscle memory of what they did. When I asked Buzz Aldrin about this, he said it was almost like a dreamlike state because he knew exactly what to do at every moment through all the training that they had. He said, but when the Earth rose above the horizon, he could just see this living thing out there floating in space. He didn't see the borders. He didn't see the conflict. He didn't, none of this stuff. And it really stunned them, and it reframed their whole lives. And they came back changed. And I forget which astronaut had called this, but he called it the overview effect. And there's books about it and lectures on it and this kind of thing. But and this is really the reason for space tourism, so that the average person, if they can afford it, do it one day, to go up in space, see Earth from above like that, and have their own overview effect. But I'll argue that amateur astronomers have the overview effect too. Once they start to realize what they're looking at, they're more informed about what they're seeing, their lives also change. I think all of you here watching that are involved in astronomy have had those personal experiences yourselves. And if you take all of that and you're calmed down and everything, and you transform that into really beneficial things like compassion, gratitude, not just thinking, oh wow, the sun's up. That's my light, so I can see during the day, so I can do my job. Okay. I mean, how miraculous is it that we're just the right distance from the sun? That we are. We receive the warmth from. It is life-giving. It is life-giving, and so I think that this is for people who have a tough time thinking how they are related to the stars at all, because they think the stars are out there and they're over here and they are separate, okay? But all you have to do is put your hands up and feel the warmth of the sun to know that you are connected.
كده شفنا كل شيء. ايوه ممكن نشرب ده نشرب شراب.
So I'll end my talk here with Stephen Hawking's quote. I mentioned that I got to see Stephen Hawking.
Yes, sir. For the Scott. So just we have one colleague, he left his mic open. So I just kindly remind everyone, if you could please close your mic and just open it in case you have a question. Otherwise, I'm sorry, but we're gonna take you off because the privilege is for the speaker to present his lecture. Thank you. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm ending my lecture now, but when I got to meet Stephen Hawking, I could not believe how physically devastated the guy was. I mean, at that time, I think he could only move his eyebrow, and he was communicating to the world through putting together sentences and stuff. He had to prepare his whole lecture. But his whole lecture was riddled with jokes, and the guy was very funny. He really was. He was very humorous, and of course brilliant. And I think that we were so fortunate to have someone like Stephen Hawking, in our lives, and for all the contributions that he made. But he boils everything down to remembering to look up at the stars and trying to make sense of what you see and wonder about what makes the universe exist. And he said, there's always something you can do and succeed at. I mean, this guy had lost all of his mobility. He couldn't talk with his own voice. And, he didn't give up. He could have easily given up. Many do. That's sad. But it's important to find constant sources of inspiration and to find your connection to the universe, whether you're doing it by gardening in your backyard, looking up at stars, communing with nature somehow. Okay. I think that those of us who have found our path through astronomy are particularly lucky. So, and that's my presentation.
Thank you so much, Scott. You are really amazing.
Shelly bonus, one other.
Sorry.
First of all, I'm gonna say you are really super lucky to got to see really Stephen Hawking. I can't believe it. You are really fortunate for that. Absolutely, yes. You're super lucky.
I believe so.
Completely agree.
I know so. There were a bunch of people there. It was a free lecture.
Mhm.
Anyone could have come, so it was, I know that not everybody gets these opportunities because, they are not able to travel or, these kinds of things. But even you know, even if you couldn't meet someone like Stephen Hawking or an astronaut, you know, there are still the average people, you know, if you can get them to talk about things, they are very, very inspiring, you know, and sometimes people are uncomfortable talking about this stuff, you know. I talk to amateur astronomers who really only want to talk about the gear, the astrophotography, which filter they should be using, what camera telescope combination they should have, what's the resolution, what's the best apo out there, these kinds of things. These, of course, this is we're an outfitter, you know, for gear for astronomers, but some people kind of stop at the technical level, you know, and really are uncomfortable about talking about the warm, fuzzy feeling of being interconnected with the universe. You know, so
Yeah.
I don't, you know, maybe I sound like, I recently went to Sedona, Arizona, and Sedona, Arizona is maybe the capital of the metaphysical world, okay? You know, and you have people that are, you know, worship crystals and are involved in lots of different kinds of pseudoscience or whatever. I would say that that they just, you know, they are not finding the connections that are actually through science itself. And, but, you know, bless them if they're happy and it is giving them a happy life, you know, so that's the point. We're here on this earth to be happy. We're here on this earth to help each other. We're here on this earth to help each other understand. And yeah, I could be selling computers or washing machines or, you know, selling Bitcoin or something like that and making more money than I make now, okay? But I didn't do this to make money. You know, I did this because I was on a journey. I could feel the, you know, the amazing connections that were happening, not only with the people, but through the universe itself, you know? So
Sure.
I try to wake up as I'm looking up through my window and I see the sunlight coming through, I'm going, that's our star, you know, that's our star. So.
I completely agree with you. We don't do that for money. In fact, it's the opposite. We are giving our money for that. We are not getting paid.
It's true.
In fact, Jean-Pierre is aware of that. Last year, we got 12 telescope as a free support from Brazil, and we shared all of that to Tunisia with our own money to help people. Right. And yeah, it was shipped by me and also by Jean-Pierre. We shared the amount of the telescope. So yeah, we are not doing that for money. We are not getting paid for that. We are doing that because we love what we are doing. We believe that's the right thing that we need to do. It's not because we are getting paid for that. Because we want to share our passion with the other. We want to share the thing that we love with the other and help the others. That's our priority.
And how does that make you feel when you do it?
Really amazing and absolutely, yeah.
You can't buy it. You can't buy this feeling, right? And I know Jean-Pierre is he is an amazing person involved in this. Maisa, I know I'm starting to learn about you, and I know that you are the same. You know, probably everybody here listening is also the same. We get more out of it. It's something that money could never buy, you know. And how many, we all know people who are wealthy, how miserable are they? Really?
Yeah.
Really miserable. Constantly worried that they're going to lose that money, okay?
Yeah, I completely agree.
I don't know.
When you're going to talk about that, Jean-Pierre and I, we understand what does that mean, because we are basically facing the same thing. We understand that feeling. We understand your words, and we feel what exactly you feel. Even we are tired, we didn't sleep for a couple of days, we are outside with a telescope, with public event, with people explaining, and in the next day at the 8 a.m. you need to be in the work. So we don't care, because we last time I went back at 4 a.m. I just didn't sleep at all, because I know that at 8 a.m. I need to be at work. So I got ready, I did something, and I left to work. So even if you are tired, you are exhausted, but you cannot stop, because you are doing what you love. You know, it's not an easy way. It's not gonna be difficult. You're gonna give a lot and you will never get anything back, but we are not looking for anything in the back because we believe in what we are doing. We think that's the correct thing to do. And yeah, you are completely amazing, Scott. I completely agree with your words, and you're super lucky to really meet Stephen Hawking.
I'm super lucky to be able to give talks with people like yourself, and to I also feel that our technology has done amazing things for us. I mean, here we are, you're all the way around the world, okay, and we're having this conversation in real time.
Absolutely.
And I think you're streaming this as well. So we're on your YouTube channel, and other people will be touched by this, hopefully. And to get involved in astronomy, you don't really have to buy any equipment. You don't have to. There are so many people who will share the experience with you. If you want to look through a telescope, you can. It's one of the easiest things to really arrange. You just have to apply some effort to make it happen. There are great astronomy groups, astronomy clubs. The International Astronomical Union is doing this incredible worldwide outreach program. There are other outreach programs that are out there. They don't compete with each other because it's impossible for there to be too much educational outreach in the world. We are humans have fertile minds, and they need the stimulation of being awakened and thinking of the possibilities, and then actually doing the exploring on their own, taking those steps.
I completely agree with you, Scott. I started outreach activity since 2011, and the first telescope that I got, it was in 2019, and it was by Jean-Pierre. It's not necessary to have a telescope. I was working
Wonderful.
with a telescope without nothing since 2011 until 2019. And the first telescope that I got in my life, it was just 3 years ago, and it was my birthday gift from Jean-Pierre and his association.
Wonderful. That's great.
We don't need a telescope to do outreach. Nothing is impossible. If you love something, you're gonna find your own way to keep going, with or without telescopes.
That's right. Some people that talk to groups. A guy named Gabe Gabriel was on one of our global star parties that we do, and Gabe talked about doing what you love, because if you do, you'll never work a day in your life because you love what you're doing, and I can certainly say that I had other opportunities in my life to do different things, but I love this, and so it is, I wake up in the morning excited about it every day. So
absolutely.
So I'm really happy. I didn't take up my whole hour here, but these are my thoughts. This is my feeling. My company started a program called the Explore Alliance, which is a free membership program. There's a paid level, but most of my members are at the free level, and we do events where we're going to have some stargazing events coming up. One of those, two of them are specifically ours. We'll take people to Mount Wilson. We're going to take people to Arizona to go out and observe the Milky Way. We will go to Yerevan, Armenia with the Starmus group. We're going to have a star party there. And so that's, I'm looking forward to that because it's a big celebration festival of physics and astronomy and rock and roll, so I think it's amazing, this event that they're doing. It'll be my first large star party in Europe that I've done. So they'll be really, I think, really amazing. The group itself, we try to get people around the world to share their astronomy experiences. That's what Global Star Party is all about. And those are held almost every Tuesday, but we're going to start to mix real star parties, real stargazing events are in person. They're all real with people joining in from around the world. So this tool of communication through the internet is simply amazing. And again, very grateful that we have it. So.
Absolutely, I agree. So before moving to the question, I might give the floor for my boss, Jean-Pierre Grotaire, to give some words. But first of all, I would like to welcome my colleague from joining us here from Mauritania, from Sudan, and also from Qatar. They are amateur astronomers from many countries here. They just joined us today from different countries. So Jean-Pierre, I might give you the floor for some words.
Well, maybe a few words. Scott, thank you very much for this amazing lecture, really.
Thank you.
Yes, but it's the feeling. It's the feeling that you have when you give astronomy to someone, to kids, to adults, to everyone. It's a feeling that, I have no words for it. You can't pay for it. This is priceless. This is the feeling you have that you help someone. And the feeling that the thing that you can say to someone, that's more than the misery or what you see here in your neighborhood. Look at the sky and realize what you are. Why we live? Spaceship Earth. I call also Spaceship Earth. We race to the universe with our solar system, with our Milky Way. And that's amazing. When you realize that you're so small, that you're so little, so nobody have to thank me. I just got an email a few seconds ago. Cher Monsieur Grotaire, nous tenons à vous remercier pour votre soutien. Donc, c'est de Madagascar. And I helped them with telescopes, and they thank me for the telescopes. But they don't have to thank me. They are the heroes. So we provide the telescopes, and they do something with this. That's important. That's the point. It's not about my person. It's not about an organization. We do it for free, but that's what they do it with it. That's important. That I want to say. Right. So Maïssa, you're my hero too. You know that. Really.
I think we have a mutual admiration society going on here because it's so wonderful to be in a group of like-minded people, and to I think it's also wonderful to share the experiences that we have, but also the techniques of how we can get more people involved, or to really, I was asked by another CEO of another telescope company. I'm the founder of this one. And he said, Scott, how did you get your audience? How do you get people involved? And I said, it's done one person at a time, just one.
That's right.
Of course, he's thinking about money. How can I sell more telescopes, right? And it's a one-on-one kind of thing, and you want to give people, if I was selling violins, okay, I might think of how can I sell more violins, all right? Versus getting someone into a violin and showing them the magic of music. Now, that's something I don't know how to do, okay? But that would be a transformative kind of thing. These things behind me are my violins, so, right?
That's what I was impressed about one of the first minutes of your talk, your first telescope, the tiny one.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. It still has the price tag or the tag on it from the department store. But it's from 1970.
That's amazing. What is the best telescope? The best telescope, in my opinion, is the telescope that you can use the most. So that's a tiny telescope. I started also with the 60 millimeters.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you see what Galileo did It is such a tiny telescope.
Oh,
Just
yes.
amazing.
He changed the world.
Yeah.
He changed the world with that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you don't need the big money. You don't need the big money to discover something or to start with astronomy.
Mhm,
That's
mhm.
the point.
I completely agree. When I started, in fact, my activity and so on, I was not able even to buy a telescope. I was working without telescope. I was going to astronomical clubs, to astronomical association, asking people who have telescope to come and join my events. I can give the opportunity to people. So through other association and clubs, telescopes. I was going to some organization or some university club who have telescopes, organize event and collaboration so they can come with their material. I was not having anything in my clubs, but that does not stop me to keep going for almost 8 years. Until I got my first telescope from SSBE and Jean-Pierre. I remember that day. I finished it from the university and I went back home and I found a large package in the reception. So I was like, that's Jean-Pierre. Yeah, it was
That's
the
great.
best day in my
That
life.
is great.
Where yeah, it was
Wonderful.
in my life. I swear, I didn't expect that I'm gonna go telescope because I have just I saved a small box and every like 2 or 3 days I put 1 euro inside, 2 euro inside. So I was collecting money in fact to buy my own telescope. And suddenly in my birthday I arrived at the biggest telescope that I was expecting from Jean-Pierre and his group. So it was, I swear I was crying that day. I didn't expect that I'm gonna get telescope. So it was the best day in my life ever. I will never forget it. And I didn't wait.
Wonderful.
So at night, immediately I take the telescope off and I went to the roof.
But you
Just did it
deserve
right
it.
away. Yeah.
You deserve it, my son.
Yeah, it was really a huge surprise. It's one of the best days in my life. 7th July 2019 is
My pleasure.
life. It's the best day. So I will move to my colleague, Dr. Sana Yari. So she collected some questions.
Okay.
Media. We have a lot of questions for you, Scott. We have a lot of people already following. So, Sana, I give you the floor for asking the question for Scott. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Maisa. Thank you, Scott, for this wonderful lecture and inspiring. It's such an honor for me to be with you today.
Thank you.
I love it.
Honor for me too.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it, the part that you recommend stargazing as a meditation. It's really helpful. It's really helpful as a cure for stress, for everything.
Yeah.
So I have a question, a personal question first. I will ask it if you allow me. So for astronomy beginners, which book do you recommend for them?
There are many good books. There are many good books on for beginners. There used to be a book. I think it still might be available. It's called Night Watch by Terence Dickinson. That is a very good book.
Fun.
Do you have that book?
I know it. Yeah, I know.
You got it. That is a great book.
It's a good one.
I think that it's not just going to be one book. I think it is going to be a small library, and that would probably be a good project for astronomy outreach people to select the best books for doing this. But astronomy is a little bit like also learning the teachings that are in different religions. There are many different religions and there are many, many different teachings, and these resonate with people from different cultures, backgrounds, mindsets, all the rest of this. And so I think that for some people, they're going to want to come in through the door of technology. Okay. Mm-hmm. They're very fascinated with technology. They want to, they want to learn all the technical details of everything, sometimes completely ignoring the fact that, about the universe that they're looking at or recording, but they just find the technology so amazing. That is a doorway. And I think that I really have yet to find a book that takes steps people through the technical side of this, but then opens the door to, okay, the reason why you learned all this stuff is so that you could more directly connect your mind or your understanding, your realizations that you are hardwired to the universe, you know? So I'm looking for that book, okay? I express that to people when I go to astronomy clubs, you know, because there's usually a group of astronomers who are very, very involved with the gear. They have the latest gear. They're always buying new gear, constantly trading gear and stuff like that. And that's all they want to talk about and all they want to think about. We have a gentleman that comes on Global Star Party, and he's constantly wanting to talk about, you know, what do you think about this filter, that adapter, this, you know, and I'm constantly trying to remind him, you know, of these other aspects, you know, which I really feel is you know, the gear can be important, but it's not very important. It is just a means to connect us, you know, and it has opened up things in ways. I mean, it's expanded how far and deep into space we can see, and these things are really important. But the book Night Watch comes to mind for me. For little kids, there is a book on the constellations by H.A. Rey, and it's got you know, animated characters in it. H.A. Rey did the cartoon Curious George, and so a lot of children in the USA, maybe in other countries as well, know who Curious George was. But H.A. Rey's book is still published today, and it's about the stars. I think it's important that young children have an experience of astronomy. They get.
It's really important.
I think it's very important. They get inspired. They have a natural interest, you know, when they look through a telescope. I have yet to see a kid that doesn't want to look through a telescope, you know. But when people get older and they get in, you know, their teenage years and their young adult years and stuff, they go through trying to figure out how they fit into society, how, you know, what they're going to do as a career, how they're going to survive, these kinds of things. And they don't have a lot of time or money, especially the time to get involved like this. So it's nice to see young people such as yourself very involved. In the United States, amateur astronomers constantly complain about what they call the graying of the hobby. I have gray hair. But I remind them all, I say, look, Galileo started when he was 45. Okay. He wasn't 18, 19, 20. Okay. He was 45 when he started. He had a good long life. He did do astronomy outreach. There's controversies about Galileo, of course, but the good that he did was amazing and still is amazing. It's still going on today, you know, so, but I think that if young children can have an experience like I did, that this is something that can carry you through those years when you're trying to figure out, you know, how you're going to fit into society, where you're going to go to school, what you're going to do in your life, and what you want to make of your life. And then, you know, you find these people come back. They come back and they will study astronomy, usually personally, but in a much more serious way, you know. And, you know, hopefully they can take the wisdom that they've learned along the way and share that.
Yeah. In fact, that's what we're trying to do through our outreach activities for
That's right.
kids. We are trying to let them experience at early age this passion, this love for astronomy, and also the science. So I will start with the chat questions. There is a question from Mahmoud Saidi, if I spell it well. Okay, what advice do you give the beginner of astronomy to inspire them to continue research and exploration?
Well, the first thing that I recommend to them is that they really learn in the most practical way that they can how they are connected to the universe. I think once they get that view, once they understand this gives them the energy to really work hard, okay, to learn how to understand maybe the complexities of math and physics that they're going to have to learn if they're going to take up a career in science like this. You know, you have to have a big dose of inspiration. And I recommend that they try to connect and reach out to as many inspiring people as they can. As a young boy, I used to write to my heroes. I recommend that you write. You try to make connections to your heroes. Not send them email because they get a billion email, okay? But find out their address. You know, the mail system still works, okay? And write by your hand, okay? What inspires you about this person, and ask them maybe one or two questions, and often they will write you back. And I have letters like that, okay? And I think that is really amazing that you can do that. When Halley's Comet was coming around, 1985, 1986, this is really my beginning as an amateur, what I would call myself an amateur astronomer. I didn't know much about comets at all. I had heard that there was this theory that the comets were dirty snowballs, you know, organics, ice. And I had heard that this guy, Fred Whipple, had this theory. So I called the library and I asked where Fred Whipple was teaching. And I got a phone number and I just called Fred Whipple. And I was able to talk to him and ask him about his theory on dirty snowballs and comets. And, you know, so these possibilities exist to have these connections with these inspiring people. And that inspiration gives you fuel to really, you know, share your inspiration with others, you know, and I think that that's important. Mm-hmm. That would be my first advice. Then if you love this, okay, you are inspired by it, you get it, then I would recommend you go to school, you work as hard as you can on it, and make your dreams come true.
Yeah, thank you for your clear advice and answer. So I will move on now to some social media questions, which I write it down, but I will read it for you.
Sure.
The first question is, when is the best time or season for astronomy amateur for stargazing?
All year long. That's the best time. The best time is to go out when it's freezing outside and it's light polluted. And I have another story from Halley's Comet time. Okay, I wanted to see Halley's Comet at its best, and so the day that they said that Halley's Comet would be the best viewing possibility from Southern California, that's where I was. On that day, it was raining hard, okay? And it looked completely cloudy. And I just decided, well, I'm gonna go try anyways, okay? Now at that time I had a Newtonian telescope. It was too big for me to put inside my car, so I had surf racks. I was also a surfer. So I put it on surf racks and it's raining like crazy, and I'm driving through the rain. Okay, I'm not talking about a little sprinkle, driving rain. Okay. And I drive and drive and drive, and now I know, because it was a window of time to see Halley's Comet above the horizon. So I just stop the car. I'm soaking wet, okay? My telescope is soaking wet. I get the telescope set up, and guess what happens? The clouds part right around the comet for a few minutes, and then they close back up. So
the moment for
even in
you.
adverse situations, I would recommend that you go out and try to observe the things that you'd like to observe. But I think that you should also, I don't know, Jean-Pierre, do you suffer from this problem where you're always kind of looking at the sky?
Oh, I just enjoy the sky.
Yes.
Always.
Well,
So
I'm always kind of watching the sky, even when I'm driving. I know that that's not completely safe, so I try to use like averted vision, keep my eyes on the sky. I've seen amazing things. One time I was driving from Los Angeles. I landed at LAX airport, and I'm driving home, about an hour drive south on a very busy freeway, okay? And as I'm driving, I see shadows hitting the ground from an opposite direction from the streetlights. And what it was a giant bolide meteor coming straight down the freeway, okay? And as this is happening, I'm seeing sparks are coming off this meteor, and I'm looking around at the other cars, and no one else is seeing this. They're just driving, changing the channel on their radio, still driving. And so you can experience astronomy, astronomical events in really unexpected ways. But if you contemplate this, virtually everything has an astronomical connection. That's the reason why they call it the universe. Okay? It's the reason why they call it the universe.
Yeah. The next question is, which telescope is the most recommended for beginner? Is refractor or reflector telescope?
Both. I would say both. I would say that any telescope, including just using your own eyes, is recommended. There are people who really worry about this. I see people who are interested in getting into astronomy with the telescope and wait sometimes years before they do it. Okay. I would say that to get virtually anything that you could get your hands on, buy it used. Find binoculars. Binoculars are very easy to find. Often you already have some, but you don't think about using even a little pair to look at the stars, Anything that has a bigger lens than the lens in your eye is going to let in more light. You're going to be able to see further away. You'll see more resolution than you do with your eyes. But again, this experience of doing this, there are experts in telescopes, and when someone is going to buy their first telescope, I will ask questions about what it is that got them most inspired. For me, my biggest inspiration was reading a book called The Red Limit by Timothy Ferris. And it was about the whole journey of understanding the redshift. And it was about the discovery that there were other galaxies, that was, discovered at Mount Wilson in 1923. And they started to use looking at the spectral analysis and noticing that all the elements were shifted off to the red part of the spectrum. And this meant that these things are moving away from us. But what I was left with from this book was, gosh, I really want to see galaxies, And so I bought the biggest reflector that I could buy, okay? And I bought I was very, very lucky. I've had lots of luck in my life. I bought a 13-inch reflector for $50. Somebody didn't want it. These deals exist, okay? You just have to look. Buy a broken telescope. Go to your astronomy club and have them help you fix it. If you want to, if you're all past that, now you want to buy something that's very specialized, then that involves a conversation where you would consult with someone like myself to kind of figure out what focal length, what aperture, what type, to do the job you want to do. Some people are very inspired by planets, for example. They get their greatest inspiration from looking at Saturn's rings and could look at Saturn's rings for the rest of their lives. I love planets too, but my first love is galaxies, and I could look at them generation after generation. I could look at them forever, So
the next
getting more aperture would mean, okay, that would usually mean a reflector. If I was into planets, I'd probably recommend a refractor. They're usually a little higher contrast, separating the bands of Jupiter is easier if you have better contrast. Can you see Jupiter in its bands with a reflector? Yes, you can.
So reflector and refractor both recommended, but the refractor is most highly recommended. That's it?
Most highly recommended, I would say, for someone that's interested in planets, double stars, and maybe astrophotography. I see some wonderful astrophotography done with a refractor, okay? I've seen mind-blowing astrophotography done with reflectors, including the Hubble Space Telescope, which is a reflector, by the way. Okay, so it boils down to the skill of the astronomer and their observing skills or their imaging skills that will produce the end result. And you can learn that skill with anything. I think a really inspiring story is we have some friends in Argentina, amateur astronomers, and they don't have a lot of money. And they have bought reflectors that sell in a department store, okay? And they didn't have money to buy an astro camera. So one of them took apart an old smartphone. He had an old smartphone. He pulled the lenses out of it. He disassembled the smartphone. So he just had the sensor. And then he had what sells in the United States, $100 reflector, okay?
That's intelligent.
And through his skills in imaging, he was able to get galaxies and nebula and stuff, shots that almost any beginning amateur astronomer would be very, very proud of, okay? And he didn't spend anything on the camera because he already had it, So, and in fact, he didn't spend anything on the telescope either because it was given to him. So, you can take the tools that you have and you can make amazing results with it. There's another guy down in Argentina who has a Dobsonian telescope. What's behind me here? This telescope is a Dobsonian. There are no electronics here. There's no drives, no gears, no motor.
That's a good
He does
one.
astrophotography, high quality, deep sky astrophotography by just moving the telescope with his hand, okay? And capturing galaxies and nebula in the southern hemisphere. So he's got beautiful shots of the Tarantula Nebula and Eta Carina, and it's just, so it is the application of skill really that's the biggest component between refractor and reflector is how good you are, okay? Because you could have $1 million technology, $1 million equipment, and produce very poor results because you don't know how to use it, okay? And you could have other equipment that costs under $200 and do amazing stuff with it.
Interesting. That's amazing. So I will move on to the next question. So our follower said, Hi, Scott. Thank you for this presentation. Would you mind if you recommend an application or site to follow the astronomical events and phenomena to be updated?
Can you give me that question one more time?
Okay. Hi, Scott. Thank you for this presentation.
Mhm.
Would you mind if you recommend an application or site or website, I think he mean, to follow the astronomical events and phenomena to be updated?
Oh, okay. There's several sites I use. One of them is I use Google News, and I will just type in astronomy as the subject. Okay, that's a good site. I go to a website called spaceweather.com. Space Weather usually follows things in our solar system, aurora, planets, meteors. There is the American Meteoritical Society that has to do with reports of bolides and meteors, meteor showers.
Yeah, I can that.
I'm sure the IAU has their own news section that would that you can follow. It's going to be a variety of websites, and I would say that. But usually, what I start out with is I start looking first at Google News. I'll usually see a news report about something, a new discovery or something that's reported. On space.com or something like that. And then I'll look up who were the principal investigators and the actual mission name. And then I'll go to the mission website or the principal investigators website and start to learn more about them. And if it's something that where I can find contact information from a principal investigator, I will email them and ask them about it. Sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't. But you can't get an answer directly from somebody that's made a discovery. It happens.
Okay. In fact, Jean-Pierre Sagbini, I don't know if I say the name correctly or not. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hello. Sometimes during a stargazing night, when looking to planets, we may face a kind if deception when the public has some expectation based on photos and images seen on the web.
The question is they see reality through a telescope and they're remembering an image that they saw that was highly processed or something. Okay. That's an interesting topic. Okay, because we are constantly bombarded by amazing astrophotos, Hubble Space Telescope, the James Webb Space Telescope, when it starts delivering images that are processed, all of these things. And you would think that people would be satisfied with that, okay? That they've seen the best that they can possibly see these things. Like the Hubble Deep Field, for example, wow, what an amazing image. Planetary images also done by professionals. But I have yet to meet anyone who has seen a live image of Saturn, and Saturn is almost 1 billion miles away and it looks very tiny in the eyepiece, and to see the rings and not to be completely, utterly amazed. Okay, it is a great first object to have a beginner look at because they instantly get that they're seeing live another world. Now it's also, I think, very important that they are with someone who does astronomy outreach that can help them understand how far away they're looking, without trying to, a trap that sometimes some of us get into is we try to teach them how much we know, okay, how knowledgeable we are. That's not the point here. what you're trying to do is you're trying to coach them a little bit to let them understand from a personal level their relationship to Saturn, you know. And if you can do that, this is a skill that outreach enthusiasts and outreach professionals are constantly working on, is to try to find ways, terms, and to be able to sense on an individual level what kind of person is looking through here, maybe ask them some questions, get to know them a little bit, and then say, look, okay, we're going to take this voyage across, you know, across space, and they see Saturn for the first time. And that really does do amazing things. And so, you know, another very special event that can happen is a total eclipse of the sun. People in just 5 minutes are completely transformed and then want to see another eclipse, you know, because it's something like that. But you can have these experiences. People can have these experiences looking at all kinds of things, sometimes just a single star, but they have to know something behind it. And so it's good that you are up to date with some of the latest scientific findings, and that you have a gentle way of transferring that information to them. You're not challenging them. You're not trying to press upon them your knowledge. You know, you're a guide. Okay, you're trying to be the conduit here. People that just go and look through an eyepiece and see stars, sometimes they just see dots. They don't think about, oh, there you go, a bunch of dots. What's that? That's not special. Okay, or they see something fuzzy. Okay, in there. What's that fuzzy thing? That doesn't look really that great. But you are experiencing the real photons that have come from those stars. It's not a copy. It's not an image. It's the actual photons generated inside of stars, and those star clusters, and those galaxies, and those nebula. And they've been hurtling across space 5.9 trillion miles a year for millions of years in some cases. In some cases, if you know what you're looking at, billions of years, you can find quasars up there. And it's really hitting your retina, and you are actually having contact, real contact.
Oh, nice.
So I would say, you know, how do you explain, you know, to get back to the question, you have people that look at images, okay, versus seeing it real, and maybe they're disappointed. I would say they're disappointed because they don't understand what they're looking at. They don't understand yet what they're looking at. They don't understand the connection. You know, you can't have this connection by just looking at an image. You can be inspired by an image, but you are not having the actual, you know, fossil light hitting your eye. Okay, that's what I would say.
Yeah, thank you. So I will move on directly to the next question, which I received from a follower of us in social media, and he says, I think he is so curious. How and why did you get to love astronomy?
One of my earliest memories, I have a very early memory. My memories go back to about 1.5 years old. I can remember my sister, who's only 1 year older or younger than me, and I remember her as an infant. But one of the early memories that I have was I was playing in my mother's kitchen. I was about 3 years old, and I'm looking through the screen door of our house, and it's not quite dark. And I see a light, a bright light. It must have been Venus, okay? I don't know, but I think it was Venus because it was so bright. It wasn't moving. And the screen makes diffraction spikes. So it made like this cross. I could see the diffraction of that. And I'm asking my mom what it is, and she's looking out, what? You know, she's looking on the ground, okay? She thinks that there's somebody out there or something. And I said, no, what's this, you know? And she, oh, that's a star, you know? And so that's my first memory. Now, is that my first thing that really got me going as an amateur astronomer? No, but it's something that I've always remembered. The Apollo mission and the inspiration of flying to the moon was something that was really, really inspiring to a lot of people of my generation. I mean, if you think of it, we had like 6 or 7 years that the United States decided they were going to have a mission to the moon and have people land on the moon and come back. This was like total science fiction. I think probably the majority of people in the world did not believe it was going to happen, okay, or could happen. That maybe they would die along the way trying, okay? In fact, when I talked to Buzz Aldrin, I'd read in the popular discussion about what they told the public was that the astronauts had a 50-50 chance of making it. Really, they had about a 10% chance of making it. So Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong knew that they were probably heading towards their end, okay? And I asked Buzz, I said, so did you think that you were not going to land? He says, oh no, I knew I was going to land. He just he was convinced, his conviction, okay, that they were going to make it. And, but that whole experience, all of us watching, the Apollo missions go up and them making it to the moon and all the rest of it, this was why I wanted a telescope. I wanted to see the moon for myself. And this is what I started out with. And I can tell you that when I look through the telescope now and I look at the moon, all the feelings of the first time I saw the moon come back. This is why you should keep your first telescope. It's a stepping stone. When I was about 20 years old, I get back involved in astronomy through photography. I was a professional photographer, and I'm managing a camera shop, and one of our employees kept recommending that we get into selling telescopes. And I said, I don't know a lot about telescopes. I said, I love space and astronomy and stuff, but I don't know much about that either, And then we started carrying telescopes in the store. I immediately started having star parties, and I started seeing how people's lives were changing. They didn't change when I sold them a new camera, but they changed when I sold them a new telescope, And this really got me going and really got me involved in the community. And I started doing star parties without knowing the sky. I just started pointing the telescope up at the sky and having people look in. And I learned along the way. And I found out that the community of astronomers and space explorers and stuff are a wonderful sharing community. In the photographers' world, great photographers hold a lot of secrets about how their skill on making a great photograph. An astronomer will tell you everything that he knows about astronomy and all the techniques that he uses usually to get images or how to find an object in the sky. They want you to have this transformative effect.
There is another question from the same person, and he says, what do you think about astronomy and why astronomy it's important? I think it's a common question, and many people ask why astronomy it's important. What do you think, Scott?
Well, that was the point of my whole presentation. The reason why I think it's important is that it is a gateway. Usually through astronomy, it can be practiced by anyone, including people who are blind, okay? Blinded people can experience astronomy through other senses, through other ways. but this is the root of science. It's the root of exploration, and so I think that this is why astronomy is important. I used to do work with UNESCO, and I was with part of their space education program, and we would go to third world countries and give donations of telescopes. And the ministry, on one such occasion, we were in Uruguay in South America, and they had an incredible, movement towards education because they wanted to take their young people to another level so they can compete in the world, so one of the first thing that they did is they gave laptops and internet to everybody in the country. Every child got a laptop and internet. And some of these homes, the floor was made from dirt. This is how poor they were, okay? Yet in their home, they had a laptop and internet. So this access to the world, okay, through their laptop and the internet was a great first step. When UNESCO got involved, we went down to revive an already existing interest in astronomy. Uruguay has had beautiful antique telescopes that were established there on different expeditions. One of them was installed for a high school that got established in, I think, the 1800s. And they had a beautiful 8-inch Carl Zeiss reflector, a refractor telescope that was installed. They showed me this refractor and it was like it was still brand new. It was so tenderly taken care of, But the Ministry of Education there told me that the reason why they do these things and have really started to get people involved in astronomy is because they felt it built better citizenry. They felt that they were going to have more doctors, more scientists, so these are the seeds. And I would say that most people that hold science jobs today as a child probably had a microscope or a telescope as a toy or some access to it, something like that. So it's very inspiring, and I don't know, when was the first time that you looked through a telescope yourself?
In 2011.
2011.
Yeah, not before.
Yeah, so you're a young lady at that time.
I was 19 years old.
19. Okay.
I didn't get the opportunity before.
Yeah, and how did that affect you?
I was crying when I saw the moon. I was like, ah! I didn't
That's all I have to say right there. This is why.
swear. I
This is why.
didn't believe that was the
I know Jean-Pierre has had a similar experience. Sonia, if you
Well,
I
was 14. I was 14 when I had my first telescopes of 40 millimeter. And the first thing that I saw was the moon, and the second one was Saturn. So it was very, very small Saturn. But that's what's all about when you see the distance between your eyes and between the object that you see, and you realize how far that is, and that you see that image. That's amazing. That's a feeling that you must keep it.
That's
really,
right.
Really.
That's right.
That's it.
This is a common yet really amazing transformation that happens to people. And so, I mean, Jean-Pierre's he's lived his life now donating telescopes and devoting his life to educational outreach and astronomy. Maisa's doing the same thing. I have also done the same thing. Why would anybody, do this when, we could all three be selling Bitcoin and maybe making a lot of money, but so
that's
what?
not fun. That's not fun.
It's not fun.
Yeah, I'm following. In fact, Jean-Pierre is
Making money is not fun. I'm sorry. That's right.
when you do something for living, it's otherwise than you do this for to help someone or to educate someone. That's otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah, because we do that because we have a big heart. You
Yeah.
know, we want to help the others. We want to support the others. That's what we are doing that because we are getting much more bigger heart every day. Every day we help some.
That's right.
Of
That's
course,
what
Of
happens.
course, that's what happened
That's
because
what
the
happens.
the children are the future scientists for tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's important. So
Yes.
educate them.
And we have big challenges. You know, we're at the dawn of artificially intelligent machines. We have pollution problems, overcrowding problems, water, society, all of these things, you know, and we can't use the old solutions of warmongering or stealing. We can't do this, you know, because it's to our own detriment, you know. I was, you know, in this country, in the United States, there's in the news is, you know, you can type in, you know, race problems in the United States, and wow, you know, you see just like tons and tons of news things and horrible atrocities, you know, to this minority or that minority, and but no one brings up the fact that scientifically there's no such thing as race. Okay, we are the human race. Yes, we 99 point, I don't know, 9% of our DNA is the same. Okay, we have little tiny differences. You know, most of us have 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 ears, hair on top of our heads. You know, and we all want to live our lives and raise our kids.
Mhm.
You know,
That's
these are the
important.
things that we want. You know, some of us want a lot more, but really, what you should be aiming towards is something that will bring peace in your heart and bring you happiness.
Peace in your heart. That's what.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
That's
And
right.
astronomy is not the only way to do this,
No.
but it is a good way. It is a good way.
That's right. So,
So,
I'm very sorry, but I have to leave now. Our daughter is landing from the US. And it's
Yeah.
3 years ago
Oh, okay.
that I saw her.
Good.
So, thank you so much for the
Regards.
very inspired.
Yeah, you are very
Thank
special.
you. Thank you.
Really, you are a very special person.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
So
Thank
have
you,
a nice
Jean-Pierre.
evening. Have a nice day.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
we
so
stay in
much.
Bye,
contact.
Jean-Pierre.
Bye-bye.
Compare in the next meeting.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So, Senay, the floor is yours. You can go.
I think I'm done with the question. I've received it so far. And I want to ask our participant if they have any other question. So don't hesitate and ask. Whether you write down on the chat or ask it directly.
Or in case they can just raise hand in case they do have question.
Mhm.
Okay, I would like to thank our colleague from Sudan, from Mauritania, from Qatar, from Arabic Saudi that joined us today in the Zoom and also a lot in the social media, in the YouTube channel and the Facebook page. So I will give you the floor, Sana, for the ending words before I just.
I think myself. We also have friends from Japan. I noticed that there is a participant from Japan.
Yeah, from Japan, and also some colleague from the IIU office. I saw them following us. So thank you for everyone for being part of.
Thank you.
That's nice. That's nice. So thank you everyone for being with us. Thank you, especially Scott, for this interesting and amazing talk. I really enjoyed this lecture, and I
Thank
can
you.
see how you are.
I enjoyed spending this time with all of you. It is it's always invigorating to me to exchange ideas and words with people such as yourselves. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm happy that astronomy can bring all of us together for such talks, such meetings, such events. And I hope we can get along and collaborate for more activities or events or training, wherever it is. For astronomy. So thank you, all of you, and see you in the next meeting. Maysa, if you have anything to say, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being part of today's meeting. And another word for Scott. Scott, you are a very special person. And thank you so much for being our host today.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to meet really a person like you. And that's what astronomy is great, because it cross-cut a path of many amazing people in your life. And Scott is one of them. So thank you so much for being our host today for the meeting. And our guest, in fact, for our meeting today. And thank you to give us the opportunity to host you for lectures. So thank you, everyone. And I hope to see you the next meeting. And Scott, have a good day ahead. I know it's morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
And yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.